Hi guys, on this video I'll be showing you how I make my chicken fried cauliflower rice, and I make this for my family and it is keto friendly. So the first thing that I use is the rice cauliflower. It is frozen. It is in the frozen aisle in Aldi's store. It is a 12 ounce. You can use fresh cauliflower and just use a chopper or a grinder or even your blender to blend it, but that is a lot more work. I do either or depending if Aldi's carries them at the moment or not, but these are just so much easier to work with. And I will also be using broccoli florets. These I get from Aldi's as well. This is a 12 ounce bag. I do end up using the whole bag. It is preference. We do like broccoli, so we add all the broccoli in there. And I also add spinach. Like I said, all the ingredients, it's really your choice what you want to add or subtract. But I add about 2 to 3 cups of spinach and I chop it off. I also use 3 eggs because we do like to taste the egg when we make the rice. So that is preference as well. You can do 2 or just 1 depending on your like of eggs. And then I use sweet peppers because we do like a little crunch in our rice. And I use 4 of these small sweet peppers. I am also using garlic powder for seasoning. That is your choice how much you would like to put. And I use soy sauce. So I use this one because it has the minimal amount of ingredients as well as others that I've seen, but this one is the one they had on sale with minimal amount of ingredients, so I thought it was a great deal. And as you can see, I've been using it because I've been making rice. I made steak fried rice yesterday, last week, and this week I'm doing it chicken. I also use avocado oil. I also get this from Aldi's. You can get a lot of inexpensive keto friendly items from Aldi's. And just a medium onion. Now it's best to use the green onions, the really skinny ones. I cannot think of their name because those give a lot better flavor in the rice, but I did not have any in hand, so I used what I had. And I'm using pink Himalayan salt. And this is the chicken breast tenderloins that I use. You can use grass-fed organic chicken, whatever is your preference. This is what I had in stock. Like I said, I have not gone grocery shopping, so this is what I had to make the rice, and that is what I'm working with. So I don't really measure what I use when it comes to most ingredients. That's just me. I just kind of go with it and test out. But it's about 2 cups that I'm using here. You know, a cup and a half or so, and then I still grab another bunch, and I like to cut them up just so it can be spread out around the whole rice evenly, even though you can just toss it in there because spinach does tend to soften and become very small in a recipe. So it is really your choice, but I still do it because I put it right towards the end where it almost doesn't really fully cook because I want as much as the nutrition in the meal. So this is me putting it in a container, and now I'm going to grab another little bunch because I felt like I needed a little bit more. This is a great way to sneak in veggies for your kids if they don't like to eat veggies. Now I'm going to chop off the sweet peppers, and you can use any type of peppers. You could even use jalapenos if you want. It's really your choice. But here I've just started doing the peppers maybe like 2 months ago, a month ago or so, like that. And I really like the flavor it gives to the dish, so I just kept going with it. I always tweak my recipes. I always have a base recipe and I just end up adding one meal. The next time I'll subtract something and I'll ask them if they like it or not and what else I could improve or why didn't they like it, and I just keep changing things up sometimes, you know. But I just slice them very thinly. Like if I'm doing fajitas, it's literally like that. But then I go back, and after I slice them thin, I go back and I cut them up because I want everything to be bite-sized or about bite-sized. You know, I don't want big crazy chunks, but I also don't want it to be so small that it kind of disappears and you don't taste it in the rice. So the onions I was referring to are scallions or spring onions. Those have a better nutritional value if you are trying to be more strict keto. They're just better carb-wise. than just a regular yellow or white onion, but this is what I had in hand, so this is what I'm going to be using. And I do leave them a little bit more chunky, so I slice them after I slice the onion half. And my cutting's not the greatest because I am watching television while I'm cutting. Maybe not the safest thing to do, but I just zone out when I cook. And I just chop them up so you can still taste the onion when you do bite the rice, but it's not hanging off of your mouth when you take a bite of the rice. Bag of broccoli, you can't just toss the bag in the microwave and fully cook it. That is your choice, your preference. I don't like to fully cook the rice, so I put it in a container with a little bit, maybe a tablespoon or so of water, and just put it for like 45 seconds to a minute, just to take off anything that's frozen, any hard surface. And I use a pan for the chicken, and I'm gonna use my deep fry pot that I got from Aldi's for $9. That's still something I'm very proud of that I got, and I'm so happy, and I've had it for months and it works amazingly. So I put avocado oil. I did not measure because I usually rarely measure anything but I put avocado oil in the pots and in the pan, so it's your preference how much you want to put. And I put the chicken on the flat pan just to sear it and cook it really nicely, because I do like a little crisp to the chicken as well. So it's your choice how much you want to cook it. You can boil it if you want to, it's really your choice, but I don't know how that would taste with the rice. But I like to cook it in the pan, and then I like to add my ingredients little by little in my deep fry pan. There you go. And it is very heavy, so it's hard to move it around, but you know what, I love it. I cannot live without this pan. I cook so many things already trying to see what I can actually cook in it, and I just keep checking the temperature because I do want it to be hot when I start cooking. And I cook separately, so I'll do certain ingredients first, and then at the end I add them all together. So the first thing I'm going to be adding is the sweet peppers and the onions, because I do want those to really fully cook and to get a nice little sear to the outside of them. So I just move them around and I cook them very well. It takes time. This is time consuming, but it's not, how do I explain it? It's time consuming, but it doesn't take a lot to cook this, and it makes a ton. So you guys, if you have a lot of kids, or if you just have a big family, this is great for that. Or if you just want to eat this for a few days, it's amazing. It'll save you cooking time for the rest of the days. Now that the cauliflower is out of the microwave, I just start chopping it off because, like I said, I don't want big chunky pieces, and I want it to be as even as possible around. Every time you serve yourself, every spoonful you get a little bit of everything. So I just grab my scissors and I'm just showing you that I'm cutting any pieces that are too big. And this is what I'll be adding onto my onions and onto my peppers once I think that they're getting a little soft. I don't fully want them softened when I take them out of the pan as well. So I don't want nothing mushy or gooey or nothing like that. I want everything to still have a little bit of crunch to them, or at least have a little bit of texture to them, not just a bunch of mush, because it can get to that point if you overcook any of these vegetables. Don't forget your chicken. especially if you're cooking two things at once. You don't want to forget it, so you move it around. Around this time is when I start seasoning the chicken. So I add the pink Himalayan salt, then I add some garlic powder, and you can add pepper. I did not have pepper. And I add some soy sauce to the chicken because I want the chicken itself to have its own flavor. But you can add pepper. I have not bought pepper, so I don't have it in hand, but that would actually be really good in this recipe as well. So the way that I know that I think this part is ready is I keep tasting it to make sure it's the exact amount of texture that I want. So enough crispiness and enough softness in the broccoli and in the veggies. So now I put it to the side in one of my Tupperware containers because, like I said, I cook mostly everything in its own way and then add it together. And I just make sure I really scrape everything off because I don't want nothing to get burned or anything like that, but I still want all the flavors of everything I'm cooking to keep being combined. Now I add more avocado oil because I'm doing the eggs, and the eggs will get stuck in most pans, or at least most deep fry pans like this. So I make sure I do that, and I'm doing 3 eggs. Like I said, I've tried it with 1 and 2 and it's just not enough, and that's just something for me that I like to taste the egg, and I don't really like to eat eggs for breakfast and do all that stuff. So it's very weird that I really like it on the rice. And don't forget the chicken. Keep turning that chicken to make sure that it's not burning and not drying. So once the eggs are good, I scramble them up, and I start noticing that it does start to get stuck in the pan. So I add a little bit more oil. I season the eggs with a little bit of pink salt, and then I get one of my little spatulas that my mother-in-law gave me. These little things are amazing. She got them from Mexico, and they're awesome. I love them. They scrape off without damaging the pots, without taking off anything from the pots or marking them at all, but it completely cleans them. So I love that I came up with using this towards the end because it worked out great. Usually when I was cooking the fried rice, I would use a metal one and it would work great, but I started noticing it started scratching up my pan. So way to go with the plastic. So I don't want to fully cook the eggs, so I did them as much as I could. I put them to the side, and I add them to the same Tupperware where I added the broccoli and the onions and the sweet peppers. So I clean off that pot and get it ready. The chicken is done exactly how I want it, so I remove it from the heat because even though I turned it off, the heat is still hot underneath and I don't want it to cook more. Now I'm using the cauliflower. I'm gonna open it and I'm gonna show you the texture of the actual cauliflower rice that are in the bags that I buy from Aldi's. They are like square shape. I don't know, it's crazy, but they're really, really tiny and they don't taste like cauliflower. Whenever I use them in recipes like the mashed potato, the fully loaded mashed potatoes that I make in the oven, which I'm definitely gonna do a recipe of, is amazing. If you love mashed potatoes, you will love that. And in this cauliflower rice, it doesn't even taste like cauliflower. You don't even notice you're eating it. You think you're eating rice, honestly, just a lot softer rice, but that's what it tastes like. So it's awesome that my kids didn't realize that's what it was until I told them, and then they're like, oh, okay, I guess, whatever. But they loved it. So I had the 2 bags, and it's kind of a little bit hard to tell when this is cooked by looking at it because it almost looks the same, just it looks a little bit reduced because all the water's melting and getting evaporated. So you want to keep turning the actual pot and tasting it every so often until it gets to the tenderness you would like. Now I took out the chicken and I put it in the same container where I put everything else and just put it to the side. And like I said, I'm just keep moving it around. Keep moving. I cranked it up a little bit because it was a little too low. And you just keep moving it around and keep tasting little bit by little to see if that's where you want it. And you will see in the bottom of the pan, it starts getting a little bit toasty, just a little bit. And when it starts getting like that, then that's when you know that it's drying up enough and that there's no more water coming out of the cauliflower, no more of that frozen ice or anything like that. So that's when it starts getting close to being done. And when that happens, when you start noticing it's drying a little bit, that's when you add the seasonings, which I add the garlic powder, the Himalayan salt, and the soy sauce. Yes, I do everything separate, and then I end up adding way more at the end. That is just how I prefer to do it. And I do end up using Nor Suiza, which is what we call it, and you do not have to use this at all. It's just when I use chicken, this tastes so good. And I know this isn't 100% keto, friendly or whatever, but you don't have to add it. It's just what I choose. The flavor of it. I think it's just my Hispanic background to it. But now I add the spinach because the rice is almost done. It's about done. And I just want to mix the spinach in there. I don't really want to cook it, if that makes any sense. I just want to move it around enough to give it an even balance. So when I add the other ingredients, it would be easier for me to move around. Now that I moved it around enough, I will add that big old Tupperware bowl of everything. The chicken, the eggs, the veggies, everything is going to be put in there. And it's just going to be mixed. After I mix everything evenly, that's when I start tasting it. Is it missing soy sauce? Is it missing garlic powder or pepper, whatever else you want? You could even do cayenne pepper. You can do some other spices in there. Whatever you prefer to add to your food, definitely add it onto here, especially while it's still heat. But I know that when you add soy sauce, you have to be very, very careful because it is very, very salty. So if you're adding soy sauce and salt, you gotta really measure it and taste it every time you add it. We do like our things a little bit more salty, and we do love soy sauce. So that's why I keep adding soy sauce, because it's just that good. And just remember, this is a big amount. It's for a lot of people. It's not just for one person. So when you add up and calculate all the nutrition in here, it's not going to be that big just for that one person. Do you get what I mean? And that's why I keep adding it, because it's really good. And on top of that, we add sour cream. I know, weird. But we like a little spoonful of sour cream in our bowl when we add the rice. So that just kind of calms down the saltiness. So it doesn't, just like it a little bit salty. Let's just say that. But you can add or subtract as much as you would like. And now that it's done, I always remove it from the heat, even though I completely turn off the side of the heat, because you want to make sure it doesn't keep cooking. So once it's out of the heat, I show you guys here the end result. It looks delicious, and I make it the same way with steak. The only difference is that this is chicken and the other one is steak, but the same steps. Just use steak or use pork or use shrimp, whatever you prefer to make this. But if you make it this way, it tastes amazing. If you are eating keto, you really won't miss fried rice. You will not miss it with this recipe. It's something that has helped us. And this is my plate that I put sour cream. I know, but it honestly just, I don't know what it is. The coolness of the sour cream and the saltiness of the rice just combine so delicious together. And this is my husband's dinner. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you like this video and hope you want to see more of these videos. Thanks, guys.